I'm Sandy Frank, President of the League of Women Voters of Lee County. I'd like to welcome you this morning and thank you for attending this important Bonita Springs Candidate Forum. This forum is both in person and via Zoom. We are recording it and it will be posted on YouTube, and the link will be shared on our website and on social media and available for viewing. The recording of this event should be shared in its entirety. No editing, altering, or excerpts, except by media reporting on the event. For those on Zoom, we ask that you stay muted, and you can place your comments and questions for candidates in the chat. For those in person, please turn off your electronic devices. The only recording will be our recording today. So the League of Women Voters was formed in 1920. It's a nonpartisan organization that encourages informed participation in government and understanding of public policy issues. In addition, the League influences public policy through education and advocacy. We do try to keep those two functions separate. The League of Women Voters does not support or oppose candidates or political parties. Information on the programs and issues of the League of Women Voters is available on the web for the League of Women Voters Lee County, League of Women Voters of Florida, as well as League of Women Voters United States. Those are three separate websites with lots of information on national, state, and local issues. The League provides nonpartisan educational election information through candidate forums and vote411.org, our online voter guide. So we do have a sign to remind you of this, vote411.org. Most of the candidates have already participated in Vote 411, so you can read their issues 24/7 on that website. And we are having additional forums. There were handouts at the registration table with some of that information. The November 5th election will determine Bonita Springs leaders as well as state and national. We urge all of you to be informed and to vote. Today, all qualified candidates for the Bonita Springs office were invited, and all of them are listed on your agenda for the mayor, for District 2 and District 4. We did invite people through multiple emails and with a number of follow-up calls. Not all were able to attend today. For District 2, Zach Smith is out of town and sends his regrets, and Jesse Gordon was unable to attend. We do have all the candidates for mayor and all of the candidates for District 6, and we thank you for participating today. Forum questions were selected from recommendations from League members and the public. The candidates have not been provided the questions in advance, and those of you here today or on Zoom may submit index cards with questions or through the Zoom chat. We thank each of the candidates for being with us today to explain their policy positions and values so that voters can make informed choices. The League asks all forum candidates to speak only for themselves and not about their opponents. Before I turn this over to our moderator, I'd like to thank the many volunteers who have helped us to make this forum possible. These include Nancy Leverance, event coordinator, Dorothy Browning, moderator, our timekeepers today, Natalia and Holly, and Paul Venasio, who's providing our technical assistance for Zoom, and some community assistance we received from Dwight Esmond and Deb Orton. So I'd like to introduce Dorothy Browning, moderator. Thank you, Dorothy.
Everybody, thanks for getting up on a Saturday morning. When Sandy asked me to do this, she sent me an email that said, can you moderate for the BS candidates? And I'm hoping to cut through some of that BS today, right, and get to some good answers. All right, so let's go over a few ground rules to begin with. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for their opening remarks, 1 minute to respond to each of the questions, and then a 90-second closing statement. You'll get help when you're near your timelines by the lovely lady sitting up front. They're going to have signs that say 1 minute and stop. And stop means please finish that sentence and stop. And we want to cover as many issues as quickly as we can without hurrying on that. So if you can hold your applause till the end, audience, that would be great. So let's start with the opening statement. And candidates, you have 2 minutes, and keep your eye on the gal. So first, Mike.
Good morning, League of Women Voters, for hosting this event this morning, and the library system for letting us use the space. My name is Mike Gibson. I am running to be your next mayor of Bonita Springs. I've been in the community permanently for 3 decades now. But before that, for over a decade, I spent all my vacations down here once my grandparents moved down. A lot of you, I see a lot of familiar faces out there, and most of you know me from the bicycle shop right on the other side of Old 41 there, where I've been running the family business for quite some time now. I've formerly been on the city council for 2 terms, and 2.5 years of those, that time, I was the deputy mayor. So I have had some experience with running the meetings at the city, and familiar with budgeting and everything else that goes along with running the city. Most people know that I'm always available to talk, even if we don't agree. We can always discuss things without being disagreeable. Many people come to the bicycle shop because that's where they know they can find me, and we often have discussions about what they see as wrong or right with the city, and where we can make improvements. The issues currently with the city, it's always traffic. We live in paradise, everybody wants to come down here, so it's always been an issue, continues to be an issue. The city has been working on different things to help out with the traffic, but still maintain the character of our city. We don't want to become Fort Lauderdale. So I want to continue those things. I'm seeing I'm out of time, but again, my name is Mike Gibson, and I hope you'll elect me your next mayor.
All righty, next will be Ruth.
Good morning, Bonita friends. Thank you for coming. There are many Bonitas. Beautiful beaches, a charming old downtown, diverse residential communities, soccer fields, kayak launches, parks, hiking trails. And it makes it a wonderful place to raise a family, start over, start up, and retire. However, explosive growth and enormous congestion are threatening these amenities that we've come to enjoy and expect out of our community. And so this is why I am running for mayor. I'm Ruth Condon, and I'm running for mayor because I care about having a beautiful, human-centered, livable city. Also, I care about our businesses. I want to streamline our permitting process, make them customer-friendly, so that we have flourishing small businesses in our community and remove the costly burdens of time-consuming processes that are going on. Also, I care about urban aesthetics. A beautiful city attracts quality investors and certainly residents and small businesses. I also care about the quality and quantity of our water. They are what helps our economy continue to flourish. I've got 30 seconds. I've lived in Lee County for 21 years, 6 of them in Bonita. And I'm a small business person. I've been in business for 30 years. And my experience checks all the boxes for making an impact as mayor. Thank you.
Next will be Rick. And the closer you hold that mic to your... the closer you hold it.
Hey, I'm Rick Steinmeier. If you don't know me, I'd be surprised. My family's been in Bonita for 76 years, starting out with 1948 purchasing the Anchor Barbecue, which they turned into the Golden Anchor, and won the Silver Spoon in 57 and 58. They also had the first liquor license between Fort Myers and Naples. And my Uncle Carl called my father up and said, "Ralph, I need $5,000. His dad says, "What do you need $5,000 for, Carl?" He says, "Whiskey." "Oh, I gotta have $5,000 worth of whiskey to get my liquor license. Well, I'll ask Jean, that's my mother. And so he come back and said, well, I guess you can sell whiskey. He said, yeah, 26 times a bottle. And after that, in 57 and 58, won the silver spoon for one of the best restaurants in the state of Florida. They also, before 1960, they dug the canals off of Pennsylvania Avenue and sold them to my mother and her 4 other sisters and their husbands. And as time went on, they didn't retire down here, so Dad bought them, held them, and sold them. And so, if you like what you see in Bonita, keep me as your mayor. And my phone is always open, and you can call me anytime. And thank you so much.
And Derek.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Derek Rotana, and I feel blessed to have the opportunity to run for mayor of Bonita Springs. I feel very fortunate because I was raised here, I live here and work here. And I feel that has perpetually allowed me to run for mayor because I feel like we need a better future plan. I feel Bonita is at a crossroads. Yes, we've had a lot of progress, but there's a lot of concerns and opportunities to look before in front of us. My vision for Bonita Springs is 6 key pillars. Those pillars are going to be a new foundation and new direction for our city. Number 1, economic prosperity. For too long, our economy has been based solely on tourism and real estate development. I believe that we can build on that. We can have incentives to allow entrepreneurship, small, medium, and large-sized businesses to relocate to Bonita, causing increased salaries. I believe in live local, work local initiatives. And also, I will make sure on day 1 that affordable housing will be put into our comprehensive plan. Number 2, community well-being. My office, the door will always be open with respect. I also believe that the community, the residents, should have a feel of security no matter where they live in the city. Number 3, water management. It is very important that we manage the quality of our water. It is our economy. Number 4, city infrastructure. For far too long, our city has not looked into the future, and it is important. Ran out of time. A couple more.
No, we'll do it in questions. Because you hit on one of the first questions.
Yes, sorry.
So great. All right, so that concludes the opening statements. Now we'll move on to the questions. Can you guys hear me okay? This tends to interfere with the overall system. So again, you'll have 60 seconds for each question. And again, focus on issues, not comparisons among each other. The first question is going to be for Rick, and it's going to be what economic opportunities, including small business development and entrepreneurship, do you see for Bonita Springs' future?
They just keep coming. People, we just found out that last year we had 2,400 people move into the city of Bonita Springs, and now we have 56,060 people. From when we started 25 years ago, we had 32,000. So people come and go. They keep on coming. They come down here in February and March, and they can't get in a restaurant, but they come down here in August, and they're very welcome. The economy is up and down with the tourism. I believe this is a retirement community. I think it always will be. And what I'm afraid of is that we will overdevelop to where you can't be able to get down up and down the highway at all. I'm not going to stop development, but whatever is there, whatever is zoned, it should stay that way. until it's developed.
All right, thank you. And you can pass that down to Derek. You get the same question. You want it again?
Yes, please.
What economic opportunities, including small business development and entrepreneurship, do you see for Bonita Springs' future?
Well, that's a great question. That is the backbone of any small community, is actual small business. We're having an issue here in our community where the young people are moving out. And the reason they're moving out is because there just isn't that many jobs that supply the demand for the rents that are in this area. So it is imperative that the city, under my administration, will have initiatives and committees set up to not only help bring small business into our community and also entrepreneurship, but also have incentives to bring even larger corporations into our town.
All right. And next is Mike.
For years, I have seen a lot of the younger people move out to find other opportunities. But lately, the city invested a lot of money into Old 41. We are becoming a more vibrant community again. And I have noticed more younger families moving back into the community. It gives me a lot of hope because, like I said, it's mainly like you see all the younger kids leaving. I think the city needs to just have a even plan for everybody. You don't want to make it overly burdensome to open businesses or redevelop. We need to have the right amount of staff to make sure that permits go through smoothly and quickly and efficiently. We just need to be invited to everybody. All businesses should be welcome. We are running low on larger tracts of land to bring in bigger industries, but we do have plenty of redevelopment going on and smaller strip malls and stuff that can be repurposed. Thank you.
And Ruth.
Would you just repeat the question?
What economic opportunities, including small business development and entrepreneurship, do you see for Bonita Springs' future?
Okay. Well, we have it right in the present and also wonderful opportunities in the future. One of the reasons why I want to streamline our permitting process is to make it easier for the numerous small businesses that are trying to open here, but face a lot of obstacles. And I'd like those removed, and I'd like to make the process very customer friendly. So there's plenty of that. The downtown also offers a lot of opportunities. There's plenty of infill that could be used to start up new businesses, and we could reclaim abandoned land and build structures there. So I think that there is a lot of opportunity. Thank you very much.
Okay, so the next question. As the city's leaders, how would you encourage colleagues and citizens of differing views to work together on issues that will impact all Venetians? And the first person, Ruth. Keep that microphone right there.
Thank you. So that was encouraging people of differing views to what?
To work, as city leader, how would you encourage colleagues and citizens of differing views to work together on issues that impact all Venetians?
Well, one of the things I think that we could do, for example, is have seminars, educational seminars, on various issues that are facing the city. I see one of them as the encouragement of natural pond management in our stormwater retention ponds, whether they're in ungated or gated portions of our communities. And there are a lot of varying opinions on that, but however, if we held educational seminars, for example, on the value of natural filter marshes for our ponds, and have discussions on that, that's a very, very good way to do it. So, that's it.
All right. Next is Mike.
Well, it seems today that everybody's trying to drive a wedge in between us and get us to fight with each other. And I believe nothing really gets done when that happens. And we all need to work together. As the mayor running the meetings, I would make sure that everybody can disagree without being disagreeable. Make sure everybody has a right to speak their mind and try to keep everybody on an even keel. Because without calm, proper discussions, it just becomes a shouting match and nothing really gets done. So that's the main thing. So we just have to bring people together instead of driving wedges between them. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, next is Derek.
Well, I believe I said that in my opening statement. Under my administration, my door will always be open to the citizens of Bonita Springs. I don't care if you're a Republican, if you're a Democrat, you're an independent. We're all residents of this community, and you all deserve a voice. And I will respect that 100%.
And Rick.
Yeah, I thought I'd stand up. We have freedom of speech in this country. And without it, we wouldn't have any freedom at all. So if you want to disagree, disagree. Don't do it violently, but you're allowed to disagree. That's why we have elections. You don't agree with this guy, you vote for the other guy. So let's keep the freedom. Now, under communism, you don't have an opinion. Everybody has the same opinion under communism. Under socialism, you vote. Your vote doesn't count. So let's keep the freedom in this country. Thank you.
And we do have some cards out there if you guys want. Sandy, can you pass those out if people want to raise their hands and have a card? So we'll have some time at the end, hopefully.
Questions?
Yeah. The next question. What changes, if any, will you propose for Bonita Springs comprehensive planning and zoning? What changes, if any, will you propose for Bonita Springs comprehensive planning and zoning? And the first person is Derek.
Well, going back again to my opening statement, I cannot believe that affordable housing is not part of our comprehensive plan. And that is so crucial to make sure that our community is balanced and that we have the workforce needed to grow into the future.
All right. Next is Rick. Any question again?
As far as affordable housing, if you can't afford to live in Bonita Springs, you have to live somewhere else. Why should I pay for somebody else to live in Bonita if they can't pay their own way? It's a struggle. Right now, I'm in a battle with the city council over raising your taxes 35%. On Wednesday, you turn in city council meeting, we're gonna make a decision whether or not to raise your property tax, and everybody pays property tax, whether you own the property or you rent. Your landlord's gonna raise your rent. The city is not a nice person. The government is not a nice person. If you don't pay the government, they take your house. They throw you out on the street. I work for the people. I was elected by the people. I'm not working for the government necessarily. I have to work with the government. But I am frugal. What we don't have, we don't need immediately. So, thank you.
Thank you. Next is Ruth.
Well, I think we have a good comprehensive plan so far. But one of the things that I'm with Eric and Mike in affordable housing, we have to have it, and I want to promote it and encourage it using all of the incentives that we have in place right now. I believe in living, if you can live local and work local. And there are many alternative sources of funding to make this happen. So it doesn't have to necessarily touch the tax base. But it is nice to be able to, have our essential workers live here and be here.
And Mike.
As far as the development, the question was actually...
Yeah, you want it again? What changes, if any, would you propose for Bonita Springs comprehensive planning and zoning?
Okay, yeah, so for the comprehensive plan and the zoning, I think what we did along Old 41 was the right path forward. But we went with a form-based code, which chooses more about the aesthetics and the way things will look along the roadway versus what's actually going to be in them. In the past, with zoning, basically the city council would choose winners and losers, who could be in a particular location, who couldn't be there. I do see a need for workforce housing. I'm not really into seeing like Section 8 housing or anything like that. It needs to be workforce housing. And one of the good ways of doing it would be like accessory dwelling units for existing homes that are there. Could add on like a small apartment, but also just to encourage apartments, townhouses, things like that. Thank you.
Okay, next question. Next question. What is your plan to address housing for local workers and residents? Similar. Mike, take it away.
Yeah. So as I was saying, the accessory dwelling units would allow homeowners to convert like a garage or make a separate apartment and rent it out to people just starting out in the area that need to live closer to work. Right now, people are just having to drive from too far away to get here, spending money on gas, and also clogging up the roadways. So if we can do things like making more apartments, townhouses, and allowing smaller size homes, that would do more to keep the prices down. Maybe look at the impact fees and things like that to encourage that kind of development.
All right. Ruth, you're next.
Yes, well, I think what's in place is working. I'm certainly behind it. We're doing ADUs already. I sit on the Historic Preservation Board, and there's been many times when we've had to approve that in the downtown request for that, and I'd like to keep on. We could also streamline our regulatory process for developers who are interested in providing this kind of housing. We've got developer incentives in place and are already doing it. And Bonita Bay did a wonderful job of providing that by taking their sales force, their old sales building, and turning that into housing for their workers. So, and again, creating alternative funding sources, such as community development corporations and land trusts. So there's a lot that we can do.
And Rick, you're next. And again, the question is the plan to address housing for local workers and residents.
Well, we gotta pay them more. That's what we're afraid to pay these people. We want them to cut their grass, do the stuff that we used to do ourselves. But now we're afraid to pay them enough to be able to live here or be able to drive here. So we're going to build a slum somewhere for them, a little section of town where the poor people live, or are we going to let them, pay them enough that they can live in Bonita Springs? You don't have to live in Bonita Springs. You don't have to work in Bonita Springs. We have a staff, city staff, that 1 out of 30 or so actually lives in the city, and they are paid quite well. It's not, you can live wherever you want to live. There's a big country, there's a whole world. You don't have to live in Bonita Springs. The people that love Bonita Springs figured out how to live here, and they're living here. Thank you.
And Derek?
Thank you, Rick. It all comes back down to getting better businesses in town, having incentives for those businesses to come here, paying the employees more money, better salaries, and until we add in our comprehensive plan affordable housing, everything that you're hearing right now is not going to happen. It needs to happen. It does not have to be a tax burden on our citizens. Have incentives for developers and these larger corporations that I will work very hard to bring into Bonita build housing.
Okay, the next question. Looking forward, what actionable steps are needed to address flooding and build community resilience? And the first speaker is Rick.
Well, it's very difficult. Is this working?
Oops, sorry.
Very difficult.
There we go.
Since we have city roads, county roads, state roads, paper roads, all the drainage systems are different on each community. We got gated communities. We have a lot of gated communities, and they're responsible for keeping their drains open. Originally, when they built in that area, Southwest Florida Water Management District designs a drainage system for that area, and the community and the gated community is responsible for keeping those drains open. Very often that doesn't happen. I remember back in '95 we had a heavy rain, and north of Terry Street was flooded for a long time because we didn't clean out the drain.
All right, next comes Derek again.
That's an excellent question, and it's actually one of my 6 pillars. Unfortunately, I was not able to express. So please go to my website, derekforbonitasprings.com, and view that. But one of it is resiliency. I promised on day 1 that I will work with the Army Corps of Engineers, Conservation 2020, and I will build a resiliency plan that will protect our city from any kind of future storm surge or flooding event. It is happening across other municipalities across the state, and Bonita Springs needs to be on the benchmark for that.
Mike is next.
Yeah, so the city, even though we are just coming up on our 25th anniversary later this year, is a much older community. So we do have aging infrastructure, and over the years the city has implemented some different things to improve flooding and drainage in certain areas. One of the biggest things I had a problem with when I first got on city council was learning that everything's done in government time. It takes forever to get anything done because it has to be budgeted and planned for, studied, and then ultimately get the money and do the projects. So we do have some projects coming online soon that should help flooding in certain areas. But also while I was on council, we did require that all new developments hold a higher amount of water, runoff water, than even the state requires. Just so that way when new developments go in, they're not passing the burden on to the older communities and houses that have been there.
All right, and Ruth.
Well, I think that we have to have routine maintenance of some of our older areas there for the pipelines that are there, and also our waterways. A lot of them, when I'm walking around Bonita, the ungated portions in particular, I've noticed that they're rather congested. There's trash in the creeks, and no wonder it's flooding because they are not cleared up. I think one way to do it, very quick fixes, if there are areas where the neighborhood is responsible for the cleanup, to make sure that they are taking care of whatever swales or creeks or whatever reside or in their community.
All right. Next question. What is your vision for community engagement and public participation in Bonita Springs governance? And we'll start with Ruth.
One of the things that we can do right off is advertise whatever's going on. If we're having, for example, if we're having a workshop on what we're going to be doing for flooding and street improvements in some of our neighborhoods, to advertise it a little bit better. There was a workshop recently which very few people knew about because it wasn't publicized very well. So I think one of the things that has to be done right off is to publicize what's going on, and maybe perhaps have a newsletter of some sort, like Estero does. Anyway, getting the word out there for engagement.
Mike, you're up.
Public engagement has been a very difficult thing. In the past, pretty much everybody read the newspaper, and their subscriptions are dwindling. The state requires us to post all meetings and stuff like that in the newspaper, but by the lack of attendance, it's because nobody's reading them. So we do need to look at new ways to advertise. A lot of people are watching things on YouTube, and I know you can put ads on that for relatively cheap, and I think that's things that we should be looking at. Prime Video, everybody's streaming, and more of those services are adding commercials back in because they realize they can't make enough money off of us, with our monthly subscriptions. But we need to look at more digital advertising to try to get more community engagement. And then also, just be hospitable and be open to, everybody's feedback when they do come in and not be, so argumentative and push back. We want to see everybody's views and incorporate as many as we can.
And Derek?
Can I have a raise of hands of how many people have actually gone to the city website? And how many of you really understand the city website, other than city employees or elected officials? There you go. Our website, no offense, is terrible. That is the first thing that I will do on day one, is clean that up and make it more informative, and also send out alerts where people can sign up for whatever they decide that they like to hear, and they automatically get an email sent to their inbox. And if they want to do a text message, we can do that too. Technology is our friend. We don't need to spend a lot of money doing this. But our website is absolutely horrendous.
And Rick?
Communications, all right? Well, we do have a website. My family was in the newspaper business, with the Plaindale newspaper in Cleveland. My grandfather was the head mechanic, and my other grandfather was the stationary engineer and kept the machines running. The newspapers are pretty well gone now. We do have a website. It's a little hard to navigate. But if you can get on there, you can find things out. Or you can call City Hall at 949-6262, and they'll give you the local news. Or you can call me at area code 239-913-8345, and I'll talk to you, anybody, anytime. Thank you.
All right, next question is, how will you balance tourism versus development in Bonita Springs? And Derek, you get to go.
Well, like I said in my opening statement, that is the main driver of our economy. So at this point, I would say that we continue on the way that we are, but we also focus on diversifying our economy and making sure that there's incentives set aside to bring small, medium, and large-sized companies to Bonita that provide jobs.
And Rick, back to you.
What was the question again?
Yeah, it is, how will you balance tourism versus development in Bonita Springs?
Climate change. If it gets warm enough up north, they won't come here anymore. Thank you.
All right, Mike, what's your next?
So we have both, and we're going to continue to have both. Even the tourism promotes more development. There are some projects coming on that will be hotels and vacation rentals, things like that, for the tourists. We are very lucky to have a tourist season and for them to bring down their money, because we are a very service-oriented community. We are seeing somewhat more other businesses come in. We do have City Mattress, My Shower Door, Shaw Development, places like that do have better jobs, more industry for the city that a lot of people don't even know are here. And depending on how we do the development and the zoning, it will allow for more of those businesses to come in as they see that there is a good workforce here in Bonita.
And Ruth.
Well, my fear is that, we have to do smart development because the way it's going, I think it is putting under threat everything that makes us special and unique. And Bonita Springs is a very unique place. But the development if it isn't managed a little bit better, there'll be no reason to come here. So it's very important that we do balance what makes us special and and protect our natural beauty, so that people will want to come to Bonita to visit and stay and use our beaches and waterways.
Thank you. The next question, what strategies, if any, do you propose to move the Burt Rail Trail forward? And Mike, you're up.
That's an excellent question and something very dear to my heart. Running a bicycle shop right off the rail trail corridor there. Over the years, I've been very envious of other communities that had rail trails and always wondered why we couldn't have one here in Bonita. And there's a lot to that. But finally, they do want to sell, and right now we are in a time crunch to finish raising the money. So right now, to make sure it's built, we need to be reaching out to our county partners, state and federal, getting as many grants as we can to secure the $82 million to buy this corridor. Because it is an economic driver. It will bring in more ecotourism. It's going to be safer for the kids to get to school and just everybody to enjoy our beautiful weather out here and be able to bike, jog, and just get around more easily without having to deal with the cars.
All right, Ruth?
Again, I think everything is being done that can be done to move it forward. It's a slow process. It's not going to happen overnight, but I think that the city is doing a very good job pursuing funding sources and that it is going to go along.
All right, and Rick?
What was the question again?
How are you going to move the Burt Rail Trail forward?
The Burt?
Yeah, the bike.
Well, I want a better deal. I want a better price. They're trying to sell us this railroad that they're not keeping up. They've got 12-foot high trees growing on this property. It's bringing down the value of the people in the neighborhood. I'm not happy with the price and the way they're maintaining this railroad. It should be, I'm not happy with it at all. I wish it was done, built, and over with, but it's millions and millions and millions of dollars out of our pockets for somebody to walk, so they can walk or ride a bicycle up and down. They can't sell that track to anybody else. They're gonna come in and take out all the steel, and take the value of the steel, and leave us with this 12-foot trees, and we gotta maintain it, and the security along this whole thing is gonna be a nightmare. I would like to have it done, but not at that price. Thank you.
And Derek?
The moment I heard about Burt, I immediately fell in love with it, way before it was even popular in our city. I sit on Conservation 2020, which is a commission that is appointed by our commissioners in Fort Myers. And I'm actively, right as we're speaking right now, working with Burt to incentivize the conservational easements that Burt travels through, and the correlation to where those are also near state parks, local and regional parks. And I'm hoping, once I have all the knowledge set forth, that I will be proposing before Conservation 2020 a multi-million-dollar possible purchase to help give Burt what it needs.
Okay, let's pivot a little bit and take some of the questions that the audience sent in. The first one is, how do you propose addressing the horrific traffic jams on eastbound Bonita Beach Road? Do you have any specific ideas? And let's start with Rick.
What was that again about Bonita Beach?
How do you propose addressing the horrific traffic jams on eastbound Bonita Beach Road? Do you have specific ideas?
Living on Hickory Boulevard for 44 years. Now Lee County, it's a Lee County road. The Hickory Boulevard and Bonita Beach Road is a Lee County road. So the city has very little to do with Lee County Road. So I don't know how to answer that, what the answer is. We have sidewalks, but it's Lee County's road. If you go down Hickory Boulevard, they're not maintaining. They got sand blowing across the street.
Keep that mic close to your mouth.
They got sand blowing across the.
Off. Check it to make sure it's turned on.
I don't know what you're saying.
It's still on.
There we go.
Closer.
Keep it close to your mouth.
Okay, Lee County's not maintaining Hickory Boulevard. They have sand blowing across the street, over onto the sidewalk. People riding their bicycles along on the sidewalk, they've fallen down and got hurt. Thank you.
Okay, next, Derek.
Well, this is, hello? All right. Well, this is one of my 6 pillars that I was talking about, and that is
Oh,
city.
hang on, sorry, that's me. I didn't
Oh.
Derek, sorry.
Oh,
Now
what?
you're gonna be okay.
Am I? Okay, all right. Take 2. That is one of my 6 pillars, is to look at the city infrastructure. It is imperative that we look into the future so that we don't have these recurring issues, and we're always constantly trying to patch the mistakes of the past. It is very concerning because when traffic becomes such an issue, then the charmness of our town diminishes and people will move. So we got to address that and fix it.
Mike?
Yeah, I spoke earlier about, we do have an aging infrastructure. The Bonita Beach Road is a county road, so we don't have as much control over it. But in the past, while I was on council, as a city, we did look at doing a quadrant plan in that area to give some reliever roads and still afford to pay the employees and keep them here in the city because everything's just gotten out of hand inflation-wise.
Ruth?
Very much against the tax hikes, and I think that pencils could be sharpened and the budget look at to maybe cut back a little bit in various areas, but definitely there have been opportunities in the past where the city could have done some rollbacks and elected not to. I hope that the one that's proposed now will not come to fruition. Thank you.
Okay. Rick?
Yes, we have plenty of money. The city has plenty of money. We have all kinds of wish lists where we have taken money and put it in this pile, in this pile, in this pile. We have all kinds of different places that are sitting with money for future projects. We have too many future projects. And now, with Hurricane Ian, FEMA, who's bailed us out, spent tens of millions of dollars to help us clean up the debris and everything else. Now they owe us $3 million, but we never know when we're going to get that. So they want to raise the taxes 35%. Come Wednesday, City Hall, 5:30, and tell them no more taxes. Thank you.
All right, Derek?
You know, one of the main issues affecting a lot of Venetians right now is the FEMA debacle. And what you don't hear is that our FEMA rating is a 5, and it could be a 1. I don't believe in raising property taxes, but sometimes with the proper dialogue to the community, we can build a resiliency plan that would inadvertently save us a whole boatload of money. Because can you imagine, right now, the FEMA tax credit is 25%. If we make it 1% with a resiliency educational plan, we're talking a 50% decrease in your flood insurance. So perhaps we do have to raise our property taxes to build that resiliency plan and make it work. But in the long term, we're going to save a boatload of money. So there's ways to look at it.
All right, thank you. Next question. How will you balance development of Bonita Springs and preserve green spaces for conservation? Let's start with Rick.
Well, as I mentioned before, if you go, used to be Fort Myers Beach before the storm, it's overdeveloped. The founders of we 25-year-old company, city, Everything's been zoned one way or another. People buy a piece of DRGR, density reduction groundwater resource. They buy it cheap, and then they come in and they want to build 20 houses on it. If we keep the zoning the way it is, we won't overdevelop the city of Bonita Springs, and we'll keep some of the charm in it, rather than being another Fort Lauderdale or Miami, where everybody's climbing over the top of each other just to make a couple bucks. Most of the people sitting up here are business people. I'm not. I have no business interest in the growth of Bonita Springs. Thank you.
All right, and next would be Derek.
Going back to my opening statement, one of my 6 pillars is beautification. And it is imperative to have a nice, balanced plan throughout the city. A native plan, enhancing our green spaces, our roadways, and our parks. That will allow for conservation. We can have pollinator corridors. We can have bird. That can be a massive corridor for that as well. There's just so many good news that we can do. And we can think outside of the box. I have sat on Conservation 2020 for Lee County since 2019. And I have voted to save over 10,000 acres already in Lee County.
Next is Mike.
So all developments are required to put away a certain amount of green space on their properties. But in addition to that, the city does actually have a lot of parks and green space already that are underutilized. Many people don't go to Collins Trail and Nature Place. We have a park on Kentucky Street that's really just a wooded lot. We need to further beautify our parks and make them more usable for people. And even with development, when the mine was suing the city because they wanted a lot of housing out there, they wound up suing the city, and as part of the negotiations to get out of the lawsuit, we did cut them back on the number of houses, and we were able to secure a large parcel of land on the northern side of their lakes up there, and have them agree to allowing us to use those lakes. And that property abuts the Larry Kiker Preserve, which is going to be a very large park for Lee County. And so, I mean, that's just one more large green space that should be coming online, in the next decade.
And Ruth.
Well, this would be one place for, and if we had an improved website of advertising or promoting many of our underutilized and unknown parks and preserves. They're not currently very well known. Also, we have a lot of small spaces that could be beautiful little green spaces. Medians on Bonita Beach Road are green spaces. And we could work with the county to get them landscaped a whole lot better with native plants. Just one of the things. Also, our parks could use improvement and improved landscaping. So there's a lot that you can do.
Okay. We're not going to have time for any additional questions because we want to leave you all 90 quality seconds to do a concluding statement. So let's start with Rick. 90 seconds.
This is a closing statement.
Closing statement.
Well, I'm Rick Steinmeier, and when I was 18 years old, I said, I'm going to get drafted, I'm going to get killed in Vietnam. There was a war going on, anybody can remember that. So I said, well, okay. I had a job in the summer, I was going to college at Penn State. I had a summer job, and that fell apart. And the boss gave me $70 that he owed me. I stuck my thumb out and I hitchhiked around this country for 30 days in 44 different states. Because I wanted to see this country before I got killed for it. As it was, I got drafted in the Marines and flunked the physical because I got a little problem with my neck. Next thing, I had a round trip ticket to Europe. Hitchhiked around Europe, was in 11 countries in Europe. And I'll tell you what, there's nothing better than Bonita. So that's why I'm here, and it's a dream come true. I graduated from Penn State and from the College of Human Development, which involves the law enforcement, community development, nursing, the whole bang, the whole ball of wax for what a city of what people need to live a comfortable life. So thank you for electing me, and I'll see you again on November 5th.
Mike?
Yes, so I am Mike Gibson, and I am asking for your vote. I would like to be mayor to improve and protect the water quality, to fight for lower taxes and maintain a fiscally responsible budget. We need to improve our flood resiliency. Want to foster continued success for the downtown, maintain the character of our city, because we don't want to be a Fort Lauderdale or even a Naples. We're city, Bonita, and people love us for being Bonita. I really want to get the rail trail built. It's going to be a great asset for the city, and I will be an advocate for all Venetians. My experience of being on city council prior and being deputy mayor and many years of running a business and budgeting will ensure that I will be ready on day one to be your mayor. Thank you.
Yes, I am a small business person. I'm the principal of Ruth Condon Interiors, a design firm located at the Miramar Design Center. I've had 30 years experience managing multiple projects at multiple budgets, contractor schedules, on budget and on time. Also, I sit on the city's Historic Preservation Board, and I'm deeply concerned, and I care very much about our historic assets, which again are under threat from congestion and development. I want to make sure that when we foster responsible development, that we also take along with us and never lose our natural beauty and our beautiful, our historic assets.
Well, like I said in my opening statement, I was born here, I work here and live here, and I love Bonita above all. But Bonita is at a crossroads, and each one of us are going to make a vote on November 5th, perhaps a little bit earlier, and you are all going to decide which direction our town goes. And there's a lot of issues, and there's a lot of concerns, and I hear it everywhere I go, from the small business owner down the way to the mom and around the corner that can't find a job that pays enough to make her ends meet. You know, there's a lot that we can do together, and I think that a lot of our residents have been disenfranchised by our city. And I promise you on day one, that is out the door. We will have a new website, we will have a resiliency plan, we will have better city planning, and I welcome you all to come to my campaign kickoff party. It is going to be September 26th at 5:30 at Coconut Tracks. It's going to be a great evening of good food, good conversations, and good planning for the future of our beloved Bonita Springs. Thank you.
All right, and I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time to run for mayor. It's so great to see 4 candidates, and also for coming today to allow individuals to hear from you. Can we give them a round of applause? And just because I have this slight fear some of you may leave if you're not interested in District 2, I want to go ahead and say that we thank you guys for coming, and we really encourage you to go to our website, 411. It has a lot of great information on the candidates, on how to vote. LeeVote.gov is also a great site, so make sure that you have you've registered by October 7th. That's the deadline to register. And then if you're going to vote by mail, you need to ask for your mail ballot by October 24th at the latest. All right? So again, thanks. We're going to do a brief transition to District 2, and then we'll start again.
District 6.
6, sorry.
You got early voting.